I'm Bruce from Pray for Sound. We're a post-rock band from Boston, Massachusetts, and today I'm going to go over how I create a clean preset on the AxeFx. This is a clean preset that I use all over our albums. I use it live. You know, it's my starting point basically, and this is a very wet, very delayed out, very verbed out, clean sound. It's got a shimmer effect to it, and I think it really captures the post-rock sound, that typical post-rock sound. Right now, I'll go over how I go about making this clean preset. We'll start with a dry sound. It'll just be the amp and the cab. I'll show you how that sounds, and then we can move on to the wet sound, and then finally we'll get to the shimmer effect that I add at the end. So yeah, I hope you dig the video. Alright, so here we are in AxeEdit. First of all, I should note that I'm running Quantum Firmware 1.0, and my AxeEdit is version 3.3.1, so just make sure you're up to date. Alright, so the first thing I do when I'm making a preset is just make shunts across the entire grid. And then I add an amp block and a cab block. So we'll start with the amp block. The model I use for this preset is the Matchbox D30. So let's find that. This model is based on a matchless DC30, and I've personally never played one, but ever since Fractal added this amp model to the AxeFx, I've really liked the tones that I've gotten from it. And so as far as parameter changes, I keep things pretty simple. For this preset, I bring the input gain down, or the input drive down to 4. And the master volume down to 9, and that just takes a little bit of the bite off. This is a pretty clean preset, so just taking a little of that off is nice. And then for EQ changes, bring the mids up to 6 and the treble up to 7, just to give it a little extra sparkle. And that is literally all the changes I made for this preset to the amp block. Like I said, I keep things as simple as possible, and I only dive into the deeper parameters when I need to. So now we'll move on to the cab. I keep it in the high ultra res effect type, and then for this preset I used I believe 212 double verb mix. So I found that this complemented the Matchbox D30 really well. And again, I keep things simple and leave everything just as default. So let me show you what this dry sound sounds like, and we can go from there. Now that we have the basic dry tone dialed in, let's add some delay and verb to the mix just to add some space. So I'm going to do it towards the end of the chain, and I'm going to start with a multi-delay block. For the algorithm, I'm going to use a Plex detune in series, and the only thing I'm going to change here is the master detune. Let's just bring it up to 120. Everything else I'm going to leave as is for now. And then let's add some verb. So add a verb block, and I'm just going for a standard amp reverb. So let's change the algorithm to medium spring. And then as far as quality goes, I tend to try to use high if I can, as long as I have the CPU available. And in this preset we will. So I'll change that to high, and then let's bring this mix up to 25%. And finally, just go into this advanced page, And I like to bring this mod depth and the mod rate up a little bit, just to add a little modulation to the reverb. All right, with that said, let's check out this sound. Okay, so let's finally dive into the actual shimmer effect. There are a few ways you can pull this off with the AxeFx, but I've been finding that using 3 blocks in parallel works really well. And these 3 blocks are the pitch block, and then I use a second reverb block, and finally a delay block. So like I said, just attach those in parallel, and that'll give us a nice clear path as well as a very heavily affected shimmer path. And so let's start with the pitch block. We'll change the algorithm to crystals, and then I change these voices to 12 and 24, so that's an octave and 2 octaves up. In some of our darker songs, I actually bring this 24 down to -12, just to give it a darker, kind of spookier sound. And then finally, I change this detune. I give it a little bit of detune just to give it a little extra character. So I change that to 2 and 3. And then we'll just leave the mix at 25% and change this bypass mode to mute in. Now the reason I do that is because I'm treating this whole parallel loop here as one effect. So changing this to mute in as well as these other blocks means that if I bypass any of these, this whole loop is going to be taken out of the path. So it helps me to be able to eliminate the shimmer effect if need be, just by making it nice and simple. So now we'll move on to this reverb. This one's a little bit different than how we did this reverb, the first one. This one is supposed to be just a giant spacey wash, and it kind of gives the pitch shimmer effect a little bit of a swell effect. So we'll change this mix to 100%. We'll bring the algorithm to deep space, which is just a ridiculously huge sounding reverb. And again, we'll change this quality to high. We have the CPU to play with, and the reverb is a huge part of my sound and a huge part of the post-rock sound in general. So getting a little bit extra tone out of the reverb is always nice. And we'll bring this time down to 5 seconds, and bring the pre-delay down a little bit to 40 milliseconds. Other than that, we got to change this bypass. We will change that to a mute in again, and then we can move on to this delay block. And so for the delay block, I actually, in this case, I've been having a lot of success with this delay that I downloaded actually from the forums. I found a zip file that user Simon, posted with 50 different delay blocks, and they just gave me a ton of great ideas. And so in this particular preset, I'm actually just using his default Echo Rec Sim preset, and the only change I'm making is to bring this mix up to 80%. He already has the bypass mode is set as mute in, so we don't have to do anything there. And this is just an awesome sounding delay. It's a tape delay. You can see tape algorithm, and it's got some awesome warble effects to it, and it just sounds great. So at this point we're actually done. So we can name the preset AxeFx Clean Shimmer Demo, and we can save it. And let me show you what this sounds like. Alright, so that's how I go about making a clean post-rock sounding preset. I hope you like the preset. I hope you like the video, and I hope you, if you're into that post-rock sound, that you give the AxeFx a chance, because it's ridiculously powerful, and I don't know why more people in the post-rock genre haven't tried it and haven't incorporated it into their rigs. So check out my band, Pray for Sound. Check out the AxeFx, and thanks for watching.